What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Unofficial PlayStation Plus podcast, your monthly slice for all things PlayStation Plus. News, reviews, reactions, opinions. We got them all every last Sunday of the month when we don't have tech issues. I'm your host for this episode, and rejoining me again is our very special guest, Mr. Benjamin Weeks, to talk all things about PlayStation Plus for the month of April 2021. But before we get to that, how are you doing today, sir? And I just want to say publicly, I'm sorry my spud of a PC messed up, and I'm making you re-record this. Because we had a fantastic episode, we were really good. Honestly, probably one of the best we've done so far, and then me being the dum-dum, I muted my mic halfway through. So I thank you so much for coming back, and I appreciate the hell out of it.
Yeah. It's totally fine. I like talking about video games and stuff like that. So this is cool.
Well,
I'm doing really well.
Especially because it's been like a few weeks, so it's just enough. So it's like, wait, what were we talking about? But it's not like enough that we.
Yeah. yeah. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well actually.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe we're already in May.
Yeah.
Honestly, time is just flying by. But things are pretty good for me right now.
Yeah, I know after last year, and a year seems better, but like compared to 2020, with just dragged, and it felt like the year when it end, like I'm going to be surprised. Like we're gonna blink, and next week it's gonna be June, and we're gonna be playing Ratchet. So that's a dope idea to think of.
Oh yeah. I think it's because like more and more people are starting to get like vaccinated and stuff that things are starting to open back up, and time is just going by faster because of that. Like back when we were in quarantine, every day felt the same.
It did.
You couldn't tell if it was Monday or a Thursday.
Oh no, if it was, there's been days where I woke up and I'm like, oh, I've been in my pajamas for like 3 days. I probably should change that. But yeah.
Yeah, that was a different
time. So we did it the last episode, and I'm gonna ask it again. But again, aside from games, what's the last things that been catching your attention? Be it comics, shows, music, albums, whatever's been the center of your world for the last few days.
Well, I have been playing Resident Evil Village. After I beat Nier Replicant, I moved kind of right on to Resident Evil Village, and I'm enjoying it so far. Though it's not a scary game. Though I am really liking it. It's good, but it's really silly. It's silly in a good way to where it's like high, kind of just really crazy. Like you're on a kind of like a ride, like a Halloween ride at a theme park kind of level of over the top wackiness.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because you mentioned that, because I over on Twitch, which go follow me, Twitch/ViralVinny. I stream games sometimes, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. I played the demo for 7 and 8, and even just the demos, it's crazy how 7 was a lot more claustrophobic, pitch black, like you didn't know what was coming for you. Like even just the demo of 7 terrified me. And then with 8, it was scary, but it was more kind of like action scary, and like more, kind of like jump scare, and like it wasn't that psychological. Right. So it is, and I think what was it? Because we're both big fans of Kind of Funny and their content, and they believe they were mentioning that the directors even intentionally made 8 less scary, and they said they made it a bit more actiony, kind of in line with 4 and 5. So that's why I'm kind of curious, like which one do you prefer? The more kind of action horror where it's like, oh crap, like that fear of like you're not. It's less of the item management, and it's just like, oh, like this is not a good situation. Or do you prefer the ones like 2 and like 7, where it's a lot more like psychological and like you feel more underpowered, more weak?
Well, like I really liked 7. 7 is like my favorite Resident Evil game, even more than the remake of 2. So I really like the atmosphere of that game, and kind of like the Texas Chainsaw feel of like the opening few hours, how it like it felt very different and genuinely scary. But they're honestly in Resident Evil Village, they're handling the mix of Seven's gameplay and Ford's action pretty well. Like yes, it's not scary, but that doesn't mean like it can't be good. Like it's really.
Well, yeah, like I think
I guess it just comes down to expectations. Like if you're coming off of 7 and 2, and you think that all the other Resident Evil games are going to be kind of as dark and as creepy as those, you might kind of be disappointed in Village. But I'm not.
Yeah, because I think they put it perfectly that doing it this way allows different games to be for different horror genre. Because even with horror itself, like I'm actually a huge horror fan. I love horror as a genre. The issue is that a lot of people just default to think that horror means gore, when there's a lot like more psychological horror or emotional horror or things like it isn't just like, oh, Jason stabbing people with a knife. Like, yes, that is a type of horror and that's the most popular, but there are a lot more like smaller, quiet films that mess with your brain.
Look at The Shining.
Exactly.
Like The Shining, or even now The Shining and Psycho, you see like next to no blood in them at all, but and they can still be like kind of scary, since they're more like atmospheric and they get to you like you're not sure really what's going on.
Exactly. And like I love both types of horror. Like I'll enjoy a good slasher film, but like when, at least me personally, like when I'm watching a Friday the 13th film, I'm never like, oh no, Jason's gonna get me. It's like, oh, that's a horrific kill. Like I'm kind of enjoying the spectacle to it, compared to something like The Grudge or something like that, where it's like it messes with your brain and it like makes you scared watching it in the movie, where it's like, oh, like you as an audience member are scared. You're kind of an active participant.
Yeah, that's those are the kinds of horror I prefer. Like I could watch a Friday the 13th and get scared, but it's more of kind of like an adrenaline rush.
Exactly, like you said, like a
than like really scary.
Yeah, like a theme park, like you said. But yeah, so to do a total 180, is there anything else you'd want to talk about real quick, or?
Invincible season 1 finished up.
Well, yes, because that's. I'll be honest. I still haven't caught up. I'm only, even last episode I said I'm only on episode 3. It's not.
Oh, you're early.
Yeah, exactly. But was it like I said? Like I said last episode, I'm enjoying the show. I think it's interesting. I'm just waiting for that hook, for like the thing that's gonna make me wanna binge the next episode like right away. I will say the one thing that's doing that more than anything is all the Think Mark memes right now. They have exploded over the internet, and I love all like that. Honestly, I was talking to a friend about that today. Like, there a lot of the times I will watch the show. I'll see the memes before I watch the show. And like I'll see the meme so many times where I'm like, maybe I should check out the show. This show has a lot of memes, so that actually gets me far more interested.
Like, have you played Portal 2?
Yes.
Okay. So there's an edit where they do the Think Mark scene, but it's the
Lemons.
Cave Johnson Lemons rant. Since they have the same voice actor, it really, really works.
Exactly. So now that it's fully done, I'll probably finally sit down and binge it. But I'm people seem to enjoy it, and I'm very happy for them.
Oh yeah, it's one of my
Because
favorite shows.
Now that the season's done, obviously, like as spoiler as possible. Because I can't recall. Have you read the original comics?
No, this is my first introduction to Invincible, and I'm not gonna read the comics until like the entire run of the show is done. It's kind of like me when Game of Thrones was popular. I could read ahead in the book, but I don't want to spoil it since I'm loving the show so much.
Yeah, that's my because also tangentially, me and my girlfriend just finished the last the final season for Attack on Titan, like part 1, and we did have that look where we are like, we could just read the manga, we could do it right now, and we were like, no, we're gonna, as annoying as it is, we're gonna wait the year and a half because we want to see how the show does it more so than how the books or something else does it, even if it means waiting so long.
Yeah, since like it sucks that we know season 2 and 3 are being worked on, but no release date yet, and I'm like, I want it now.
Yeah, because if it's the Netflix motto, at least like a year at the earliest.
Yeah, which I'm like, take the time, take all the time you need. It's the next season is apparently gonna get even crazier from the people that have read the comics. It just goes up from here.
Okay, well, I am super excited to catch up on that and so many other shows. But for now, let's instead focus and go right into the game discussions. So the plus games that you got for April 2021 include Oddworld Soulstorm. It was created by Odd Inhabitants and first released on April 6th, 2021. It has a Metacritic score of 68 and no sales number that I could publicly find. So I believe you said last time that you do not have a PlayStation to play this.
No, unfortunately, and even if I did, it's just not really my kind of game. It just didn't look appealing to me.
Oh yeah, and that's what I should say real quick because I also do not have a PS5. So before we move on from that, just like, have any of the Oddworld games interested you, or is it just a franchise that doesn't really speak to you?
I've seen gameplay of them. I've seen I've seen presentations of them like on I think one was at like a state of play or something where they showed off the features of the game, and it just doesn't look like it's for me.
Yeah. The only one that's well, first off, this was years ago. Like, I was a child, but like the only one I'm even semi interested in is like Stranger's Wrath. And that's because my dumb child brain was like, oh, it's a cowboy. He has a cowboy hat. Cowboys are cool. Like, I also think you can combine like animals and use them. It's a first person shooter. It's a totally different game. But I was just like, oh, the guy in the box art looks cool. I'll play that. But yeah.
It's honestly, I might have to check that one out since all I've seen of Oddworld was like the side scrolling ones.
Yeah, because what was it? I know there was Munch's Odyssey, and that was like kind of third person, and then Stranger's Wrath is basically like a first person. And the thing I do like about Stranger's Wrath is basically you play as like a bounty hunter, and each level is like this tiny arena where you can you have to go to the end and catch the target. But the cool thing I like is that they give you like a capture my target where you can either kill enemies or you could like hand tie them and arrest them. And if you hand tie them, obviously that will give you more cash. But like it's harder, and you have to get in close to hand tie them. And like you can do the same with the bosses and whatever. So it's definitely cool, but it also is the least Oddworld game there is. So I can see why some people wouldn't be a fan of it.
Cool. Well, I might have to look into it, honestly.
Also, in the month of April, you got Zombie Army 4, created by Rebellion Development and released on February 4th, 2020. It has a Metacritic score of 72%. So yeah. Did you at all play any of the Zombie Army games?
Yes, I did, and these are the same guys who did these Sniper
Sniper.
Elite games too.
Yes.
I was already kind of into I was already
Yeah.
kind of hooked on it when I figured out that they're the same guys who did
It, it,
Sniper.
yeah, I played it on stream, and it wasn't until they do like the slow mo zoom in with the headshots where
Yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen this before, and like I actually really like it because I appreciated Sniper Elite, but my biggest issue was it was more of a stealth game than an action. Like you basically had to carefully sneak through the field, find your position, and then snipe. Which is fine and cool and
right.
respectful, but I'm one of those dumb kids. I just like to blow stuff up. So I appreciate
Yeah,
Zombies Army's like faster gameplay, where it's like, all right, cool, just go mow them down and like and blow their heads off and like throw a grenade. Like it's a lot more dumb, and the combat isn't as like intensive, but it's a lot more fun and it's a lot more instant gratification.
right. It's kind of like you can just kind of hop on and kill a
Kind
bunch
of
of
kind of like our horror
zombies.
talk. Like yeah, look, sometimes you want to be psychological, sometimes you want to like you want to be parasite and deal with like the deep emotional turmoil, and then you just like
Right.
now, then you just want to blow stuff up. You just want to see a guy get cut in half.
Yeah, yeah. Like, see, there are sometimes when I feel like a game like Sniper Elite or Hitman, where I really want to take my time and set up like the perfect mission.
Yeah.
But but other times when either I'm A, tired, or B, just don't really, I just feel impatient. I'll just go in guns blazing.
Yeah, I'm the definition of that meme where it's like peace was never an option. And the final game for this month was Days Gone. It was created by Ben Studios and released on April 26, 2019. It has a Metacritic score of 71% and sold over 5 million copies as of August 7th, 2020. So this is the one that you actually have more expertise on, and I'm gonna leave the floor to you. But first off, I was gonna say I know you were very somewhat meh on the game.
Yeah, like of all Sony's titles, in all honesty, the only reason I really bought Days Gone was because like I had every other Sony exclusive like Horizon, Bloodborne, Persona,
Yeah.
Last of Us. So I since Days Gone was on sale, I figured this looks fine. I'm down for an open world game. There's not much out right now, so I can play through it. And I played for a few hours, and I just couldn't get into it. I didn't like the characters, the story, even the world just felt kind of bland to me. So I put it down for a while. Then I went back to it I guess a few months later, and I tried to play it more. I just wasn't feeling it. And apparently this game is like super long. And so I eventually just gave up on Days Gone since
Mm.
I it's the first game in a while that I can say that I was not into it at all. It's I get that there are some good ideas there that they tried to tell kind of like their own spin on the post-apocalyptic zombie world, but the the world just wasn't alive enough for me. It just ended up feeling like a discounted budget Last of Us.
Yeah, cause and we're not gonna go into it too much in depth, but earlier in April there was this whole article that was talking about how basically, as of right now, Ben pitched a sequel for Days Gone, but Sony basically just like turned it down. They're like, yeah, no, we don't want you doing that. We want you working on this Last of Us remake. I believe originally. I'm gonna read. This comes straight from the Bloomberg article. And instead, one team was assigned to help Naughty Dog with a multiplayer game, while the second team at Bend was assigned to work on a new Uncharted game with supervision from Naughty Dog. Some staff, including top leads, were unhappy with this arrangement and left. Bend's developers fear they might be absorbed into Naughty Dog, and the studio's leadership asked to be taken off the Uncharted project. They got their wish last month and are now working on a new game on their own that will be a part of a brand new franchise. So I guess that's the biggest thing for you is I know the dev also came out and he got really upset that he basically felt like, you know, if people wanted a Days Gone 2, they should have bought it full price at launch, all this other stuff. And a lot of people have been upset that basically, for now, it looks like a sequel's not happening. So my question is, like, do you think they really could have... Is Days Gone, like... Because I'm always, like, appreciative of a new franchise, because, like, no first game is ever the good one. Like, whenever we go back and we think about what, you know, the first Uncharted, the first... excuse me.
Like the first Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate that game, but it is clunky to all hell. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, do you think a sequel could have improved it, or was it just kind of dead in the water and there's really not much they could have done to fix the base?
I mean, I think that, as I said earlier, they released Days Gone and it just didn't seem to stand out enough. It just looked like, oh, you're playing as some biker dude in a zombie world, and
I understand like they have their vision, but I think the biggest mistake was the zombies.
Right, I think just very little about it looked unique or cool. Since I was seeing the trailers and I was thinking, I feel like I've seen this before. This doesn't really look like a game I need to buy day one or need to get now. It looked like, it both looked like and played like the definition of a 7 out of 10. Yeah, it's exactly nothing but fine. Yeah. And I think the guy's statements like, oh, you should have bought it at full price. I mean, now that the game didn't end up doing that well, or that the higher ups at Sony said you're not getting a sequel, I think it's just like hindsight. Oh, well, looking back, if you had all bought it at full price, we wouldn't be in this situation. But I do feel bad for the devs, since I'm sure if they made a Days Gone 2, or they improved the pacing, made the world like more, where I really actually want to explore the world more and do more in the world. I mean, I probably would have been down for it. I'd be interested to see what they could have done, but just with the way their first game was received, I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the quote right now, and he went on to what is it? David Jaffe's video interview thing, and he basically says, quote, "I can't tell you how many times I've seen gamers say, 'Oh yeah, I got that on sale. I got it through PlayStation Plus or whatever.'" He complains. He's saying, "If I'm just saying, you don't have to support it at launch, but don't complain if it doesn't get a sequel if it wasn't supported at launch." Which, like, I understand with him in principle, and like, I will say, to take his side for a brief second, I love Game Pass as a service, but already I can see people becoming very entitled to this, where where people are just like, oh, well, I'm not going to buy that game. It should have been free on Game Pass. It should have been like, oh, no, I'm not going to pay for that game. It's like, and like, it really upsets me because everyone's like, oh, Game Pass, it's free. It's like, yes, but these devs still need to make money. They still need to see support. Like, just playing it on Game Pass isn't gonna help, give the incentives they need. But then also on the other side, if Days Gone was this sweeping, like, because the critics were kind of meh, the audience was like, the people who liked it really liked it, but that was the vocal minority. So it's one of those things. It's not like Days Gone was this critical darling that undersold and like people nobody knew of. It had the exposure, it had Sony backing it, and it's just like it was a meh game. So it's one of those. It sucks, but like there's a lot of people like for what is it? The Order 1886. I would have loved a sequel to that. That's not happening.
Oh, for sure. Like, for some reason, a lot of people hated on the game because it was apparently like too short. But
yeah,
but I really liked the world they set up. The graphics were fantastic. Like, I played on PS4 recently. Like, I replayed the game on PS4 recently, and they're still like really really good.
This is gonna piss off a lot of people, but if Knack can get a sequel, literally any game can get a sequel. If the game sold well, they would have supported it, but it just didn't do what they needed it to, which sucks. Like, there are lots of like one-off games. It's like, why doesn't this have a sequel? But it's just it's not a breakout success, and it sucks. But it just is what it is.
Right, like that's kind of like the harsh part about the game in the game industry, or just movie franchises. If your first entry doesn't hit, you've got low chances of your series continuing. Like
Rest in peace, the Dark Universe.
Oh yeah. Tom Cruise's Mummy just couldn't pull it off.
I got dragged to that movie on a date where I don't remember why, but like basically she picked me up, and about like 10 minutes into that movie I was like, this is awful, I want to leave. But she was my ride, so I had to sit through the entire movie, and I was like, oh my god, this is awful. And then she's like, it was like a 25-minute drive home. She spent 20 of those minutes bitching about the set design, and like not like how it was unrealistic that she was like a fabricator, and how she could make better sets, and how like their placements. Nice. And then the last 5 minutes was like, oh, but I love the movie. It was a great movie. It was like probably the best movie I've seen this year. I'm like, I need to get out of this car ASAP.
Oh man.
But yeah, but I think we're gonna move on. But is there any last minute thoughts you have about Days Gone? I think you put it perfectly, because even after it came to Plus, I was still like, I'll get to it later. Like, I have no doubt one day soon I will absolutely play Days Gone, but it's nothing I'm like, I have to rush and play. It's just one of those, I'll get to it when I get to it type games, and it sucks, but that's just where the game is, unfortunately.
Yeah, like you said it. That's how I feel about Days Gone. It's a game that I most likely won't go back to. It's like it's Sony's only real kind of dud. And let's be real, if Days Gone is Sony's only, like, in my mind, it's their only game where I would just kind of like, I didn't even hate it. I was just kind of like,
it's not bad. It's just a 7, which like.
Which that speaks to the rest of their catalog, how good their catalog is. If the only one is just kind of like, it's fine.
That what is it? Because you always see those photos floating around where it's like God of War, Uncharted 4, Horizon, Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima. It's like 10s, 10s, 9s, 10s, 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 and then Days Gone is like 7, 7, 7s, maybe an 8. Like, that still speaks a lot to Sony's talent of their studios.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so that is gonna do it for the game discussion part. But before we go to the news segment, we're gonna take a small ad break. But as always, this is an independently funded show, And if you'd like to be a sponsor, as well as had your letters read on air, you can write into the show, PlayStation Plus show at gmail.com. But for now, we're going to give a free ad break to Grace Soda. It's sugar water, but damn, does it go down good. I don't know if that's in if Grace is in America, but it's basically supposed to be like island drinks. It is like literally like all I can taste is sugar and water, but it is the most delicious stuff ever.
Does sound good.
Mm-hmm. Like they like
Is it in America?
I'm not sure. Let me check.
I may have to look it up. You said it's called Grace Water?
Grace like soda.
Oh, Grace Soda. By the way, I did look up those BioShock drinks, by the way.
Oh, yeah. See, again, well, yes, for context, from the last episode, when we were doing the pre-show, I talked about, these BioShock drinks that, like, each drink is themed after a different vigor.
Yep.
And I was saying how I would love to, make those, but I'm just far too lazy, because some of them, like, are legit, like, you need, like, dry ice and spices and all this other stuff, and I'm the kind of person, juice, vodka, done.
But yeah, if we're talking about the same thing, it's gracefoods.ca.
Yep.
So yeah, they got like green apple, pineapple, grape, and lemon.
It's just soda water, it doesn't taste. The calories are not bad. Yeah, it's literally just the first ingredient. It's just carbonated water, sugar, glucose, fructose, natural flavor, citric acid, and color. It's literally just sugar water, and it's the greatest thing ever. I have to stop myself from buying these. The worst part is they're always
I'm gonna check these out.
They're always like 50 cents or like 2 for $1, and it's always one of those things. It's like I could get like a nice water or like the big liter or something for like $3 or $4, or I could get 10 of these bad boys and just watch my kidneys explode.
There's a ginger beer. Huh.
Yeah, it's actually their ginger beer, not bad. It tastes awful, but it's very good. Like when you have a cold, it like opens your sinuses. So I'll always keep a few around if I'm like, just feeling down or not feeling right.
And banana. There's even a banana flavor.
Oh my god, it's so weird because like flavors are so different, but basically like imagine like a banana popsicle, like the double ones with like the 2 sticks.
Right.
Imagine that it's just melted down and put into a bottle. That like it's the exact same flavor, and I'm like, this can't be healthy for me, but it's super delicious.
That honestly does sound really good. I'm gonna have to check these out.
But yeah, so let's head right into the news. It's a nice lean 10 stories for this one, and then the last one's more of a discussion, but we'll get to that when we get to it. And our first one is that Reggie Fils-Aimé quits the GameStop board of directors after just 1 year, and this comes to us from IGN.com by Matt Purslow. Yep, Reggie has retired from GameStop's board of directors just 1 year after he joined. Reggie is one of 8 directors who are set to retire from the board at GameStop's 2021 annual meeting. The remaining board members will largely be made of directors relatively new to the board, with many of the company's more established directors leaving among Fils-Aimé. So yeah, we briefly talked about it last time. Just a small story. It sucks that Reggie's leaving, but I'm excited to see where he goes next. We talked about this before. What's your kind of thought on the whole GameStop situation, and like, do you think GameStop can pull themselves out of this mess and like kind of bring themselves back and be a big name again, or do you think their days are just numbered and they're just going to be another forgotten company like Toys R Us or Circuit City or whatever?
See, I went to GameStop a bunch as a kid. I love GameStop. Some I I bought a bunch of games for my Wii from them when I was a kid. Bought like games for my 360. I went to some midnight releases there. Like I want GameStop to stick around. However, with like the rise of digital games and you have things like the PlayStation 5 digital edition and the Xbox Series S that don't come with disc drives. Uh, I think we mentioned this last episode or when we last recorded. They need to shift to like kind of a be more of a hangout, like a place where you can play like a tabletop game even or things or buy merch or things like that since physical disc games are honestly more of a collector's thing now.
Yeah,
Most people will just buy digital.
Yeah,
including me.
I am fervently pro physical, but I understand that I'm in the minority, and as the years are going on, it's gonna become more niche and niche. Where I'm even the same. Where honestly, like with music, I remember being a teenager, I had to buy every album, everything a person did now, and then when iTunes and Spotify and all that came around, it was like, well, I don't really want to carry all this stuff with me. Like, I don't care where it is. I just want to listen to my music. But with games, I definitely, for me personally, I enjoy the experience of just like, building the game room and having the walls and walls of games and like, the thing of going like, yeah, I've played all of these or I've played like most of these. And I definitely think like GameStop can lean into that a lot more with what were you saying,
like to turn it more of a hangout.
Exactly, because like it's more so, okay, get rid of the Funkos, but like if GameStop had nice statues or nice poster, like basically go for the niche, like nerdy, like I think the biggest issue, and I know this sounds weird, is they try to generalize it a bit more, where at least the ones in my area for like the EB games, they started selling like cell phones and leapfrogs and beepers, right. And they were just like, and hey, like here's an Attack on Titan t-shirt. We don't sell Attack on Titan merch, but here's a t-shirt. Like they just tried to be general nerdy stuff, like anything tangentially related to gaming. Like what was it? I found this Sailor Moon like mug for my girlfriend there. It's like, okay, I guess this is kind of related to gaming, but like yeah,
I mean, like games.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
There you go.
Let's see, like games and anime kind of go hand in hand, so.
Yeah, but like I much prefer if, like you said, they do a dedicated gaming spot and it's like, hey, we're gonna have a launch party where you are like, we'll set up a bunch of TVs and you can guys and play local matches together, or we're gonna have Smash tournaments, or we're gonna allow people to come into the store and watch directs with us, or watch E3, or do this other, like make it more of a hangout spot. And I've told multiple people, like honestly, that is my dream of dreams. It's like a lot of people, if they're like, oh, if I had $1 million, I'll buy a car or a house or something like that. For me, if I had a lot of money, I would just build like a gamer bar or like a gamer cafe where it's just like, hey, there's a bunch of I don't know why my mind went to Vitas for some reason. Hey guys, there's a bunch of Vitas, they're tethered to the wall. But it just have a space like, hey, there's a bunch of bean bags and there's a bunch, like there's free Wi-Fi and this and that, like kind of very similar to the way like early internet cafes kind of worked, which is like, hey, have people come over, offer them a snack, offer them experience, and then that way they'll just come back where like, yes, you're never going to beat the digital storefront. You're not going to be people's number one choice. And with retailers like Walmart, it's a lot harder to say, oh, I'm going to this specific realtor for just gamings when I can get my tires and my food and my gaming like all in one trip. So I personally I want GameStop to succeed because I went to a launch party for Assassin's Creed 3 and it was a blast. We're like,
oh, nice.
it was one of the first launch parties I ever went to, and I just talked to a bunch of people online. We were talking about like theories about the game. What was our favorite past one? The cashiers dressed up and all this other stuff. They were dressed like Renaissance
that was
people.
me with. That was me when Dark Souls 3 came out. I went to the midnight release for that. So fun. We all talked about what our favorite Souls game was, or what kind of bosses were going to be in the game, and like whether like we were going to be like blue or red phantoms. It was so fun.
Especially with all this excuse me. Because I can't speak to everyone, but like definitely I'm glad everything's getting better, and I'm glad COVID's being rained down. But like truthfully, the idea of going to a big convention, like a 5 or 6, even that's pretty small, but like a 5 or 6,000 person convention, that kind of like terrifies me right now. But if it's just like, hey, the local GameStop, it's gonna be like 100 people, and it's just gonna be like a few games. It's a very small thing. That feels a lot more manageable to me right now compared to this big, huge, drawn out like convention center or all this other stuff. So like I definitely want
like
yeah, go on.
But like as a kid, one of my biggest dreams, like, oh, I wanna go to like Comic-Con one day and cosplay like Darth Vader or the Joker or something. But now I'm like, it's way too crowded, and I'll probably get tired out trying to go everywhere and see everything and stand in a line to get one autograph. It's just I'm kind of with you, where I'd rather go to like the smaller things.
Exactly. I can't go to Evo, but hey, they're doing the Smash tournament next Saturday. That's manageable. That's something I can do.
Right.
But yeah, so let's move on to the next story, which comes to my computer's dying. That comes to us also from IGN, and it's that Cyberpunk's 2077 return to the PlayStation Store is completely up to Sony, says CD Projekt Red. And this comes to us from Rebecca Valentine. It's been over 100 days since Cyberpunk was on the PlayStation Store, or was removed from the PlayStation Store. And this article is from March 30th, so 1:30. So we're almost halfway. Like, it's almost been off for... Wait, that can't be right. Because 350...
Yeah, cause we recorded two weeks ago, right?
Yes, yeah, so, because... Hold up, let me... Okay,
did time go by?
Sorry, no. I'm like doing the days. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, because half of 365 is 182. So if we're at 130, it's almost been off the PlayStation Store for half a year. That is crazy.
Oh, man.
That's been by the end of what June, like if mid-June, if it's not back, it will be gone for half a year. That is crazy.
I can't believe that. And like, even on PS5 where it runs kind of well, it's even if you have a PS5 and want to play it, you have to buy the disc.
Yes, the physical. Well, I love all the people who made that smug joke. It's like, hey, Cyberpunk's a Xbox exclusive now because you can't play it, you can't buy it on PlayStation.
Yeah, I see, I liked Cyberpunk. I played it on my Xbox Series S. I thought it was fine. I know it's not like a revolutionary RPG, but I liked the world, I liked the story, and I thought there were a ton of side quests and things to do. So I think people just overreact. Well, not overreacted, but a lot of bad things got put on the game because of just how awful its launch was. But the game itself is fine.
Because let me see. Yes, because in an investor call today, the game's removal was brought up by a shareholder, with CD Projekt saying that the studio was still patching the game in earnest, but that ultimately the decision to return to the PlayStation Store was in Sony's hand. The final decision, you have to understand, belongs to Sony. We do believe we are closer, but the final call is theirs. So let's wait and see. And then something I had to look up. I could have swore. When did this professionalism? Yes. Okay. So and something we also talked about in the first recording was how 30,000 copies of Cyberpunk 2077 were returned out of 13 million. And this part comes from Polygon.com by Cass Marshall. Would help if I read ahead. So I'm making up noise. There we go. He's saying that approximately $2.7 million, or 97% of the refunds had been processed, and they explained on the call that the final 5% of refunds are currently being processed but are taking longer due to complications. So despite this issue, the Polish developers enjoyed a profitable 2020, taking in $56 million in revenue. And it was, so at first it was like, oh, okay, so only 30,000 were like people got the refund for. That's not that bad. But as people pointed out in the days after, that 30,000 is only for the people who went directly through CD Projekt Red, and they had their whole refund me program, where like if you refunded the studio and you emailed them, then they would get you a refund and they would return the money back to you. So that doesn't even count all the PlayStation Store and the Xbox sales. So like if it's just 30,000 who did it through CD Projekt Red, you have to imagine the final number is probably closer to 1 million, which is still not bad, but it's definitely, just like for context, it is trying to keep everything into perspective.
Yeah, I honestly hope it does return to the store soon. Since they've, I know memes have been made like, oh, the patch list is like an entire book of the Bible, but at least they're fixing it.
They're trying their hardest. Well, the biggest thing for me, and I know a lot of people have had similar thought process. Does it even make sense to like return it back to the PS4 at this point? Like if I were them, the amount of work they've been putting into PS4, like just cancel it, offer all the people refunds. Like, hey, if you got it on PS4 and you enjoy it, cool, but we've canceled the PS4 version. It's not coming back, and just put all that resources into making the PS5 version great right at launch, and then like invest that into like DLC PS5. And PS5 and DLC, because I saw there 30,000 refunded it. How many people you think are gonna rebuy it a second time when it's like quote unquote fixed? Like I feel I understand they're trying to go after hardened minds, and they're trying to seem like the good guy and go like, hey, look, we fixed the game, we made it better. But I feel like it's just kind of losing battle, and they should prioritize, hey, the PS4 version, we screwed up, we're sorry, here's your money, we apologize, but we're gonna make like the DLC pop. Because even like you said, the patch notes that they're doing, it's all very minor stuff, like, oh, we've updated the hair, we've updated like the only thing I think
I think that like, of course, when the game launched, it was all everyone was talking about, like, oh, I can't wait for Cyberpunk to come out. This game is going to be really awesome. It's going to be groundbreaking. It's going to be incredible. And then when even bugs and glitches aside, it was kind of a normal, like, Cyberpunk Fallout game, basically. People played it, moved on, and just like, well, that happened. But
because people always compare it to No Man's Sky or Fallout 76. And I think the difference with those games is that they were games of service. They these things meant to be played for months at a time.
For
Cyberpunk,
over.
it has an end, and like maybe the DLC could be good, but like it's still kind of stuck within the box of like, hey, we made the game within these parameters, so the DLC has to fit in it. Like they can't really change the genre, or they can't change the like they have to play within how the game itself is designed. So I really don't think, for lack of a better word, I just feel like they're polishing a turd at this point. Where, cool, the cops AI can be the greatest thing ever. You improve the cops AI, but people still said you have boring missions and the characters are just okay and they're not as well written as The Witcher. Like there's only so much stuff you can patch into a game. On a certain level, like you basically have to start over from scratch if you want to do the stuff people want you to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we are gonna move on from that, and instead focus on happier news for PlayStation 5, and that's the April update that was recently released, and this one comes to us from the PlayStation blog. And I won't go over it. I'll just skim through it real quick because it's patch stuff. But yeah, so you can save your PS5 games on an external hard drive. You can't play them, but you can basically move the files to and from. So it's like it saves up space. You can excuse me. It changes the way the menus are customized. Stuff like you can disable game chat or adjust player volume. You can this one I really love. A game update pre-download. Once it enabled by developers, titles for games will pre-download to your console if the automatic updates are installed, enabling your console are enabled and your console is on rest mode. This will let you start playing the latest version of a game immediately after the game's release. New trophy stuff. They can customize the way your game library sits. New integration with the PlayStation app, and the one that you were very excited for in the first recording is cross-generational share play. PS4 and PS5 players can now share play together while chatting in parties. This means PS5 users can let their friends on a PS4 view their game screens or even try out PS5 games through SharePlay or vice versa. Options include the ability to share screen with your friend, pass a controller virtually to a friend, or pass a second controller virtually to play co-op games together. So yes, because but last time we both said that we've tried remote play, and it's very dependent on your internet and your speed and all basically it's one of those things like it's hard to make it work perfectly, but when it does, it's very cool. So I'm very curious, like how was the experience of doing it the cross-gen share play?
It was very awkward. See, like I keep hearing about how Returnal has like great combat, great gameplay. It's systems are fantastic, but playing that on a PS4 controller, I don't know whether it was like slight lag because because of our connection, or because it was made for like that special PS5.
That fast paced like clicky.
Or whether it was made for like the special PS5 DualSense controller, but I was not doing well at all. Like the aiming felt weird, the movement felt weird, but that's because it wasn't meant to be played on a PS4 controller. We tried Demon Souls, and I did a lot better in that game, honestly, since it plays like every other Souls game. So I ended up doing like just fine in that.
Well, much like PlayStation Now, that I played the original PlayStation Now. This was PS3. That's how long ago I tried it. And my one friend, we got really into golf games for a period, and we would buy like Hot Shots Golf and all this other stuff.
Right.
And I went over to play Hot Shots with him, and then I kept mission shot, and like I couldn't get the timing down, and I couldn't get it. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? He's like, oh, we're playing off of PlayStation Now. I don't own this game. This is just streaming digitally. And it's like it's just one of those. It's a half a second off, but like when it's like a timing based stuff like that, where like you need to be a moment perfect, it can really screw with your timing and your pacing. So like I appreciate the idea, and like for stuff like like I don't know why off the top of my head, but like Overcook or stuff like that, like stuff that you don't need to be a millisecond perfect. I think it's good, like for that to try and experience it. But I don't imagine playing it long term, like doing like a stuff like a DMC or something over share play. That seems like a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't perfect, but I but it gave me a chance to try out games that I would otherwise be impossible to for me to play.
Exactly. I appreciate the effort. And our next one is just a quick duos. And if it loads, there we go. And this one comes to us from the PlayStation blog. PlayStation and FireWalk Studios announced a publishing partnership for a new original multiplayer IP.
I'm excited.
It's written in the first person, so I have to find a good person to jump in. Talking about inspiration, which is nice. Today, we are thrilled to announce a partnership with Sony Interactive Entertainment for our new original multiplayer game. For our team, the opportunity to create new worlds and inspire more amazing moments from players around the world is the fire and ambition that keeps us going. The PlayStation team has a deep love and respect for the medium of games and some of the best expertise and capabilities in the world to make really big ambition, our ambition a reality. We're hard at work on development, and we've had a ton of fun playing our game as a team. In fact, while we continue to grow our team during this challenging year, it is our daily online playtest that has provided the most consistent point of joy and connection from our crew. The fun and laughter of playing together has brought us even closer, even if we are physically apart. Our goal is to be able to deliver the same joy to gamers, and we can't wait to share what we have been working on when the time is right. So yeah, dope. Sony is doing more multiplayer games, but the other one,
I think the last one they did was like the last big ones they did were Killzone, right? The last big like Sony multiplayer games they did was Killzone, right? Or am I just completely forgetting?
I guess the Destruction All Stars, if you want to get technical, but even that is like kind of a different beast.
I mean ones that like did relatively well and were kind of mainstream. See, I never played Killzone since those came out when I was like in middle school, but I remember them being apparently pretty popular.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I was trying to find the part. And then yes, the kind of side tangent to this is that Sony's London studio is hiring for a brand new next-gen IP for PlayStation 5, and this comes to us from Push Square and is written by Sammy Baker. London Studio has, in recent years, been Sony's premier virtual reality team, but it looks like it's temporarily stepping away from the technology, if job listings are to be believed. There's no mention of PSVR at all in its opening positions, but instead there are multiple references to a new, brand new next-gen IP in development for PlayStation 5. Roles include the likes of artists, graphic programmers, and animators, but there's also a couple references to multiplayer. We're really excited to open this hire for an experienced online gameplay designer because it's a role of crucial importance in the next PlayStation 5 project we are working on at London Studios. So yes, the thing I'm gonna field. I keep kicking the mic. Okay.
It's fine then.
Okay, that's fine. The thing I'm kicking to you is if. Okay, I'm just gonna. I'm leaving my phone to. No, you can't hear it, but it's on the recording, so it's just like anytime it like you plug a thing into the PC and it does the little bring bring bring.
Right, right.
Because it keeps unplugging and replugging. Anyway, professionalism. The thing I'm gonna throw to you is last month or April, whatever, a few weeks ago. Let's go with that. Jade Raymond announced her studio, and she said she's working on a multiplayer game, and now FireWalk Studio and also London Studios is doing multiplayer. So I'm kind of curious, like, what's your thought on Sony taking this more multiplayer focus? Because kind of echoing what we were saying before, there is that mindset of like, oh, Sony only does single player, over the shoulder, third person action games, and like that's what they do. And even in Jason this Bloomberg article, he was talking about how Sony is kind of fixed on trying to right here. Sony's focus on exclusive blockbusters has come at the expense of niche teams and studios within the PlayStation organization, leading to high turnover and less choice for players. So I'm kind of curious, like, what's your thought on this bigger shift to multiplayer? And like, because people have always said like, oh, Sony, like you even said yourself, Sony really doesn't have a multiplayer game. That like Xbox has Halo, they have Gears, but PlayStation doesn't really have that franchise.
Right. I'm down for Sony to try more multiplayer things, since they've more than proven themselves with single player experiences. Like, say you took the gameplay of, I don't know, Horizon, and turned that into a multiplayer experience. I think that would be a blast.
Yeah, exactly.
Like imagine a Horizon battle royale where like you're going across this massive field, like riding on these robot dinosaurs and getting into massive battles. I think it could work. Like, that's just an example of the kinds of things that
I never played it myself, but I do want to give a shout out to Ghost of Tsushima Legends, and like how they added the whole raid mode and the other stuff, and like they made, so you could do these missions with other players, and they just like kind of slid that in. They just like added it. But something I did play was like the multiplayer. Like, I remember Uncharted 2 multiplayer was crazy. I was obsessed with that multiplayer. And I definitely played a little bit of it in Uncharted 4. It just wasn't the same. I think I had kind of moved on, and like I wasn't really in the mood for that. But like Sony definitely has some experience with multiplayer games. It's never been the focus or like the forefront for them.
Yeah, and I think, like, with the creativity that Sony has, it might not be their forte, but I think they can absolutely handle it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like because one quick one before we move on from this is, people always say that Xbox only has shooter racer, and obviously it's more complex than that. But I think that's why a lot of people said that they bought Bethesda, because they're like, cool, look, we have other franchises, we have RPGs now. And what was it? Someone on Kind of Funny Games Daily actually pointed out that with all the Bethesda studios and all the other studios Microsoft owns, they have 8 RPGs on the go right now, which is like a crazy amount.
That's insane.
Yeah, well, like, and as they were pointing out, like, they're not all gonna come out in the same years. But even if you do like year after year, that's still 8 years of RPGs, which is crazy.
Right, and with how long RPGs can get now, like nowadays, that's like hundreds of hours worth, possibly.
But yeah, so obviously Sony seems to be poised on multiplayer. But is there a specific genre or type of game you think they should pivot to, or do you think that they would probably shine in better than just, let's say, like, narrative action games?
I honestly haven't really thought about that, since I think the game that's like
this is just me being selfish. Something I love about Nintendo is, and I guess this kind of works depending. But I doubt Sony's doing it. I want more party games. Like, yeah, okay, yeah. There's definitely the people who do it, but like most people don't play Smash competitively. They play it to have a fun time. Same with Mario Kart. Yeah, you can be an expert Mario Kart player, but like just stuff like that. Just give me like a Mario Party or a Smash Bros or a Mario Kart or.
Well, see, like I think PlayStation has tried that. Like they tried it with I think it was called like PlayStation All Stars, or it was like their version of Smash Bros or something.
You're right.
And
it is one of my favorites, sir. I will have you know. But going back to Days Gone, what is it? I love All Stars 1. It is not a good game, but I see the skeleton of what it could be. It's like, okay, cool. You didn't land this, but like I see what you're going for, and like I genuinely believe if they updated the roster, if they, tweaked the balancing, whatever, it's fine, but like I don't think you have to tear that game from scratch. I still think All Stars is a good base for what could have been a franchise, and it really upsets me they never did anything with it.
Well, I think it's because like PlayStation players, like they gravitate towards the Personas, the Bloodborns, the Uncharted's, and
more mature games.
I think that like not that a party game could never work. It's just that that's not really what the PlayStation audience is about. Like they don't. Since every single game that has, at least in my memory, that has released on PlayStation, that's kind of like a party game or a Smash Bros.
The most like, yeah, they have Sackboy, but aside from Sackboy, the most cartoony they have is Ratchet, and even that's kind of like that like PG-13 kind of slightly older child. They don't have any family-friendly mascots.
Right, like and I think their logic is why even bother? We're making gangbusters with the games we're doing right now. Like Last of Us 2 is one of the top selling games of last year.
Microsoft approved.
Like and the developers of Ghost of Tsushima, like they're made like ambassadors of the island now. Like that's how successful their single player games are.
Yes.
So yeah. My point is, while it would be nice to see Sony expand and go into different things, unless they really get a good multiplayer hit, and who knows, it could be this one. I just don't see it really taking off.
Well, that's something I do appreciate about Sony is like they're giving it, at least from the outside, they're giving it a try. They're saying, hey, we don't have shooters, we don't have a multiplayer game. Here you go. We're trying. Like, even if it fails colossally and all these games don't hit, I still appreciate Sony for the effort that they're trying to do it instead of just going with what works. And that's like, because what was it? Like they said in the Bloomberg article, like, yes, they tried to pigeonhole Bend into doing an Uncharted, or no, they tried to pigeonhole them into doing a Last of Us remake and all this other stuff, and like, but at least like by the sounds of it, they're letting them do their own thing now, even if it was like after months of experimentation and failing and yada yada. Like, at the end of the day, I appreciate my favorite Sony will always be PS3 era Sony, where they just got weird with stuff. Like they did The Last Guy and Super Rub-a-Dub and Trash Panic and Pain, and like all these games could be awful, but I appreciate Sony for at least trying to do it.
Right, like you got to give it to Sony. They are creative.
And we're we're going to move on from. I'm just gonna scrap this next one. Aloy's in Fortnite. It's dope.
Yeah.
We don't need to say anything more.
Yeah, it was cool. It's cool and all.
Yeah.
I don't really play Fortnite.
I think it's. I will say this is the small Fortnite corner, small Fortnite update. You can get close. You just can't talk. I do find it funny they added Batman, especially
Right.
because he doesn't kill people, and their justification is like, oh, he has amnesia now. I'm like, that's still kind of messed up. He's gonna wake.
That's so crazy though.
Yeah, it's like he'll get his memories back and be like, oh no, what have I done? Like. Cause that's my weird thing is when they added Kratos, this is such a weird nerdy thing, and this is 100% on me. I like it to make sense. So like they had when they did the Marvel season, they did like Groot and Doctor Doom, and I'm like, and She-Hulk. I'm like, why would they use guns? They have their fists. They can just punch you.
Dude, what's sad is that I'm guaranteed there's gonna be a kid in the future who sees a trailer for God of War, and they're gonna be like, hey, that's the guy from Fortnite.
Unfortunately, but that's the only reason I stayed off from buying Aloy and even Batman. It's like, I love these characters. I can't justify Batman mowing a guy down with an AK-47. That hurts my soul.
Yeah.
But what's not hurting is Sony's pocketbook. As we move on to our next story from GameIndustry.biz, and this is from James Batchelor, I think. Sony's PlayStation revenue nears $25 billion as the PlayStation 5 ships 7.8 million consoles in the first 5 months. Because we did in the last episode we did just a quick update. It's like, yay, PS5 is selling a lot. But I'm switching this article because they kind of go a lot more in depth to Sony as a whole and Sony as a company. I say as I have to skim through half the stuff. So buried into the report, Sony has revealed that the PlayStation 5 has shipped 7.8 million units to retailers since launch in November. This includes 4.5 million during its launch quarter and 3.3 million in the 3 months ended March 31st. And while Sony only reports on shipments into retailers, the ongoing sellout of PlayStation 5 stocks wherever it appears likely means that it's safe to say the full 7.8 million has been sold to consumers. Earlier this month, NPD confirmed that it is the best-selling console in US history, with the asterisk looking at its lifetime dollars and unit sales for the first 5 months of a release. Meanwhile, the PlayStation 5 shipments for the full year dropped from 13.5 million in 2019 to 5.7 million. I'm trying to see. Here we go. Digital downloads of full games accounted for 65% of all sales in the full year, rising to 79% in the most recent quarters. By comparison, digital accounted for 53% of game sales in the previous financial years and 68% in its final quarters. Looking at its network services, there were 47.6 million PlayStation Plus subscribers by the end of Q4 2021, up from the 41.5 million seen this time last year. I'm just trying to make sure if there's anything else that I'm missing. This was so sales were up. This was of course boosted by the launch of the PlayStation 5, but some key new titles for the PS4 also contributed. While Sony didn't release these numbers in its report, the platform holder had a stronger year with the launch of Last of Us Part 2, which sold 4 million in its first few days, and Ghost of Tsushima, which recently reached 6.5 million units.
Nice.
Keep on going. Overall, the Sony Corporation reported a revenue of 81.7 billion, a modest increase of 9% year on year. So yeah, and then it just goes into more fun number stuff. But yeah, so PS5 selling good. I'm just
Yeah.
Okay, yep. Because the other one, the other article just talked about PlayStation Plus subscribers have increased by 22%. So.
Yeah. Since with games like I think Final Fantasy came to the service
Yeah.
one, I think, in March,
Yep.
and like the games are only getting better.
Yep. Yeah. Like, I'd have to double check. I do find it funny that the people. It's just crazy to think back. I'm such an old man now, but I remember at the launch of the PS3, or sorry, excuse me, PS4, there was a lot of analysts and people saying, "Hey, enjoy the PS4. It's the last console. It's not gonna sell. Mobile's the future. Mobile's where it's at." And then the PS5 is the best-selling.
Mobile, like,
yeah, they again. This was 2013, so this was 7 years ago. They're like, because like, people were like hounding Nintendo. They're like, "Why isn't your stuff on mobile? Put your stuff on mobile." And then they put their stuff on mobile, and then people are like, we don't care. It's fine. But
right.
yeah, it's just crazy.
I'm shocked that they thought that mobile would be good.
Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a big market. It is huge. I think it's just much like VR or even to a lesser extent PC gaming. It's one of those, like, it's a second pillar, or it's an external revenue source. It's not the key way that they're making their money.
Right.
I'm just trying to see the Plus game or the May game for, because we actually have that too for this month.
Oh, right.
Because what was it?
What is it? Hell, I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, because I remember. Yeah, you were saying that like PS5 has banger after banger, and what was it? People are complaining because like this month on PS5 you're getting Wreckfest Die Hard, and I'm like, that is so crazy that PlayStation went. What is it? Because it launched in November, so November, December, January, February, March, April. It went 6 months with banger after banger after banger, like launching on Plus.
Right, and I mean, even this, I mean, it's like Battlefield 5, some car game, and Stranded Deep. I mean, those aren't really my, like, I have Battlefield 5 already, and the other two just don't seem like the ones for me. But they're definitely better than games with gold.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say like, oh, this is a great month. Like, nah, it's a slow month. All right, it's kind of weak, but it's not like, again, Battlefield 5. That's a decent poll. The Stranded Deep.
Yeah.
I'm interested to check it out. But
yeah, it's worth checking. It's worth looking into for sure.
The only thing I was gonna say is, for you, sir, because I do believe we talked about this.
Yeah.
Given the state of PS5 right now, where, Spider-Man is, or Miles Morales is cross-gen, Resident Evil Village is cross-gen. I believe they even said that Horizon is cross-gen. Like, if you could get a PS5 right now, would you still do that, or are you kind of more comfortable waiting until they become more widely available and it's not as much of a struggle to get one?
Well, dude, if I could get one now, I absolutely would. Since I want to play I really want to play Returnal. I really want to play Demon Souls, and I just want the new fast cool console. Like back when the PS5 came out, if it was not for Demon Souls being a launch title, I probably wouldn't have been as driven to really want it and get it, since Demon Souls was what really was hooking me on the PS5. It was like, it's the only Souls game I hadn't played. I love the Souls games, and it looked really, really good. So for me, the PS5 is absolutely worth getting now.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people is like, I don't remember what group it might have been Podcast Beyond or anyway. But anyway, I saw someone on Facebook and they were like, oh, this guy is selling a PS5 brand new in the box. It comes with Spider-Man, and he's like, oh, he got a spare or whatever, and it was basically $200 or $300 extra, and I'm like, the reality is like that sucks. That's a good deal. Like scalpers are charging like $400-$500. If you can get a PS5 now and it's only $100-$200 more, honestly,
Right.
I would probably take that deal right now. Like in the current climate we're in, if it gets to like December or whatever, no, don't, and they're more widely available, no, don't overpay for a console. That's ridiculous. But like,
Yeah, no.
I could totally understand people saying like, I just want the console now and I gotta have it. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to support scalpers like that, but I get it. I totally understand why you want it.
I even said to a friend that like, yes, these guys have bought like 50 PS5s and just have a bunch just to sell at high prices. I'm saying that if you wait, they'll be forced to sell them at a loss.
Yes.
Since no one will want to pay $800 for a PS5 anymore.
Yeah.
Since they'll be more widely available. So these guys now just have a bunch of PS5s that no one will buy. Like it's just basic economics.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing for me. I'm just a weirdo. I like bundles. Because I'm looking at right now. I bought the Mario Odyssey bundle with the red carrying case, and then I had that Switch stolen, and then I bought the one that came with. Yeah, but I got a new Switch, and it came with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Digital, which actually really helped because I was at the start of the Switch, I'm very much pro physical, so I bought Mario Kart physically, and then after using it for a few weeks, I'm like, I hate changing out, there's certain games where I don't mind changing in and out, but like any multiplayer games or stuff like that, I hate having to put in a new disc. So I was like looking for a reason where I'm like, I want to buy Mario Kart digitally, but like I can't justify buying it again at full price. And then this kind of was like, all right, cool. Hey, look, now I got it digitally now. Now I don't have to deal with this hassle. And honestly, it's so fun to just hop in and go like, do that. Like, because that's also why I got Animal Crossing digitally, and I'm planning to get Mario Golf digitally, because it's one of those things like a game like A Last of Us or a Days Gone or what, like a game that has a definitive end, and you can say like, hey, I've beaten this game. I'm fine putting that on the shelf, uninstalling it, and just going like, hey, if I want to come back to it, I'll come back to it. But stuff like even Avengers or Destiny, games that you pop in, do your errands, and then pop out, like I feel like having that digitally helps a lot more, and it's easier to swap between the two as opposed to like a game like what was it? Because I even knew it. I knew this going in, but I still bought Mortal Kombat 10 physically. And it's always sitting there on my hard drive, and whenever I see it, it's starting to get like full, I'm always like, all right, what's the first one to go? It's like, all right, well, I don't have anyone to play with. I don't have any friends online right now. Like Mortal Kombat, you're looking kind of beefy right now. We're gonna move on to our second last story.
All right,
and that is that Sony confirms the existence of PlayStation Plus Video Pass, and it is currently under test. Right. And this comes to us from the 6 Axis, and the artist is just called Tuffcub, Tuffcub. So shout out to Tuffcub. Either that's a moniker or you've got a really dope name, dude. A few days ago, the logo for PlayStation Plus Video Pass appeared on a Polish PlayStation promotion that was quietly taken down. The service seems to be offering movies from Sony's film back catalog as part of a PlayStation Plus subscription, with titles such as Venom, Zombieland, Double Tap, and Bloodshot to offer. Sony have now confirmed that they are testing this service, and it should be live right now, but only in Poland. It will offer 20 movies and television shows, with content being added every 3 months. Together with Sony Pictures Entertainment, we are launching a 12-month test benefit for the Plus service available in Poland. The streaming application that PlayStation Plus owners can download to their PS4 and PS5 It gains access to high quality video production as well as part of the existing Plus program. And then we're gonna quickly go over the movies offered. So you get Bloodshot, Jumanji, Zombieland 2, Double Tap, Charlie Angels 2019, Venom, The Equalizer 2, Baby Driver, Blade Runner 2049, Underworld Blood Wars, Arrival, Sausage Party, Inferno, American Hustle, This Is the End, and then Bad Boys 1, as well as Future Man, Super Mansion, Community, Deadly Class, SWAT, and Lost Girl. So yes, I'm gonna throw this to you, sir.
Right.
I totally lost my point. What? Sorry, I was gonna say, yeah. So when we did this the last time, both of us were like very meh. We were like, we don't understand the point of this. So
Right,
the first one I was gonna say to you is, like we talked about last time, do you even like use your game do you even view your console as like kind of a media hub? Because I know Xbox caught a lot of slack for that with the launch of the Xbox One and TV, Madden, TV, Call of Duty. Like,
right.
I know people hated that, but as the years have gone on and Netflix and streaming and all these new services has popped on, a lot of people are a lot more like, hey, I just want this all-in-one box that I can just play my games, I can watch my shows, I can get my news, all this other stuff. Like, do you watch stuff off your PlayStation, or is it more just strictly a gaming device?
Well, I to go back to what you were saying about Xbox, I think a reason they got so much flack there is because a lot of their presentation was about like all the different media things you can. I don't think it's not that people didn't want those things. It's that
Yes,
the
the way they
presentation
marketed it.
focused on those things. I have HBO on my PS4. I have Netflix on my PS4. I have Disney Plus on my PS4, and YouTube, even Twitch. It's really convenient for me to just hop from Overwatch over to watch a show on Hulu or something. Like I don't like to or rather I don't restrict my PS4 to gaming only. It is kind of like my own
Well,
media.
I understand that because in my living room downstairs, I have a Roku smart TV, so I have a bunch of apps off of that. But then
Oh yeah,
I also have a Fire Stick that certain apps are only on the Fire Stick. And even just going from the Roku to the TV, it's like, oh, geez, where's the second remote? Like, I have to, what, like, channel is this? Like, oh, this show is only on this platform, and this show is like, so having it all on one definitely is good. I understand the appeal. Right. It's very cool.
It's kind of like why I got like the Series S and why I'm thinking of getting the PS5 digital is because yeah, I would just have to get up and replace the disc, but it's I get that it's such a small thing, but at the same time, it's so convenient to just be able to switch from game to game to game. You know?
Yeah, because my ex actually had a PS4, and she used it. Also, she had like all the streaming apps, and then like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah. Oh, that's real different.
Yeah, I think and that was my main issue. Is like I would spend so much time with her. I got like, oh, maybe I should use my PS4 more. Maybe I should download. But like when you download Hulu and YouTube and all this other stuff, like it got to the point where it was actually starting to push games where like it was becoming more of an entertainment thing than like I could only have. Because I only have base PS4, like not even a Pro or anything, so I only have the 500 gigs. So I was like, oh, this is it became a case of like, am I gonna watch more shows or am I gonna play more games? And like I had to have this conversation with myself. And yes, like I could I could theoretically just get a hard drive, get a PS4 Pro, expand all that stuff, but like it did become a case where like I love watching YouTube, but like I love playing Last of Us more, and that's gonna take priority. Like, the idea to me is very appealing. The thing is, I only have a base PS5 with the 500 gigs. So it became a thing of like, I literally had to start juggling, like, do I want to play The Last of Us or do I want to watch YouTube? And like, it became a thing of like,
Right.
I've always viewed gaming as because that's the people thing with PC is like, oh, you can go from work to gaming to this, and like, I enjoy the experience of like, hey, I am sitting down in front of the TV, I am putting the disc in, like, this is game time. I am here to play games. And I appreciate the idea of like, hey, okay, cool, I'm gonna play this game and I'm gonna watch a show and this and that. Like, but for me, for me, gaming's almost like kind of a ritual or a hobby where like I enjoy sitting down and going like, hey, cool. All I am doing for the next 2 hours is I'm just gaming. There's no distractions. There's no this other stuff. I don't have to do updates. It is just
Same. You can kind of just relax.
Exactly. But because with having it all on one service, it was there's always that distraction of like, this game isn't hitting, and let me watch a video, let me do this and that, and then come back to the game, and then it would always like leave the game open and I come back, I'm like, what was I doing?
Yeah, like that's kind of like me with open world games, or very story heavy games, where if I leave them alone for a bit, it kind of takes a minute to get back into like just what in the world I was doing here.
But yeah, so the other one we'll just very briefly go over is I've asked guests this before, and I'll ask you the same.
Yeah.
Me personally, I like, this is clearly Sony just throwing stuff at the wall and see whatever sticks. They're just trying to, hey, how can we incentivize it? How can we make Plus a better deal?
Which more power to them, honestly.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, all right, like, I'm not gonna rush out and go, oh, I've got Bloodsport on PlayStation. Like, it's gonna be one of the back of the box things where it's like, hey, cloud saves and multiplayer and movies. It's like, it's just gonna be a bullet point thing. The thing I'm gonna throw to you is, what kind of stuff, like, what things do you think Sony could add to Plus to make it a better incentive, without the caveat, because I know everyone goes to it, is without basically copying Game Pass, because I like, so many people have said that and it annoys the heck out of me, where people are just like, oh, Sony should just combine PlayStation Now and Plus, just make them one service, and it's like, no, they're two totally different services.
Well, I mean, if you look at Xbox Live Gold,
yeah,
just Gold on its own, it is being able to play games online. You have party chat and all that, and you get 4 games free each month.
Yeah.
Now, in my opinion, the 4 games that you get free with Gold each month have drastically gone down in quality. Every single month, I see like tons of laughs and angry reacts on Facebook because they're like these budget games where, to me, you're not getting much value. But my point is, if we want to keep those two servers on PlayStation, if we want to keep the Now and Plus separate, I really don't know what else they could add to Plus aside from like, I guess one more free game, since I'm like,
yeah,
you.
Like, I always stretch because I'm like, maybe early betas, but people get upset when you do that. I'm like, extra. I generally don't know where the service can go. Like,
and well, as we talked about earlier, the subscribers are going up, so I don't really think that they need to make a drastic change, or I mean, adding new things I'm completely welcome for. Like for example, this video pass.
I'll check it out. I'm not going to use it, but I'll check it out.
I hope I don't have to pay. The one thing I hope is that I hope this isn't like
a new
part of Plus, and I just have to pay extra for it. Like, I hope this doesn't raise my price. Like, I hope this is optional. Because if it doesn't raise my price, sure, I'll try it out. if it does, I have enough streaming services already. I don't need it.
Exactly. And our last one is kind of because originally we did a whole big beefy thing, but now like even from our initial discussion, the time has kind of let it down. I think people have kind of gotten over their initial grief, but
Yeah.
April was a rough month for Sony, and we're not going to go into every single thing, but some of the stuff that we talked about was how MLB or Game Pass got MLB The Show at launch. So it definitely became a case of, hey, you can play it on Game Pass on launch for free, or you could play it on PlayStation for $70. There was the talk how the PS5 has the same battery issue as the PS4, where if the internal battery inside the PS5 dies, your save data is tied to it. So it can kind of mess up saves in that way, as well as if the clock is off and it's off from the servers, that can mess with your saves in certain ways. There was the whole Jason Schreier article about how Sony doesn't they want a Last of Us remake, and how they don't want due dates on 2, and they basically want to do games very similar to days, like they basically just want more Last of Us, and how they're doing the TV show and they're doing a remake and they're doing all this other stuff. PS3 patches are being deleted. This is a rumor from Video Game Chronicle, but it's just like how certain games, their old patches are being deleted. So hypothetically, if you got a new PlayStation game off the shelf, you popped it in, and there was some game-breaking bug, but they deleted it in a future patch. But if the store goes down, you can't download that patch, which means that game is broken, even though they fixed it later. And of course, the big one that sort of happened, but then didn't happen, was that they were going to shut down the PS3 and the PSP and the Vita stores. People got very upset. They got very mad. They came back a few weeks later, and they're like, hey, we heard what you said. PS3, saved. PS Vita, safe. PSP, what is that?
Right.
So, which I will say, quick side tangent, I'm surprised more people did not call out. Everyone was like, yes, this is amazing. We did it. We controlled a corporation. And I'm over here like,
right.
Guys, PSP is still dying. Why is nobody concerned about this? I love the PSP. And the guy's like, PSP is old. No one wants to play the PSP. I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, oh, well, we love, like, we love our old games and old. And
I think it's
not yours though.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, I see how it is. But yeah, so we're not gonna go into all of those specifically, but the super short was, like I said, they listened and they came back. They said, hey, we're not closing the store for a year. They weren't very clear. They were just like, hey, we won't close it until 2022. Then we might close it, maybe. Possibly. It's like, all right, that's some clarity with you guys. But
at least we'll get more time.
Exactly, it gives people a year. But the thing I'm gonna pitch to you is like I did last time is, what is your current mindset on Sony? Because when we recorded the last episode, I was very pessimistic. Basically, I was very down. I was very hurt. Being a PlayStation fan in April, it hurt. It was rough because it just felt like we were getting loss after loss. We were
right, like tons of bad decisions, and
exactly
people were just mad at Sony. But I feel pretty happy about being a PS fan now.
Mm-hmm. And there's like, look, Sony's gonna be Sony, and this is kind of a preview for next month technically. But like recently, they came out and they were talking about how they are charging Epic for crossplay and whatever, and like they want a cut of any stuff that people buy on PlayStation and yada yada. Like I think Sony's gonna be Sony, and that's the thing people have to understand is they are never gonna be the company that we necessarily want them to be. That like in our minds we have made them like Nintendo, where like they are this iconic game company. They've been around in the industry for 25 years. They've made all this stuff, but it's like Nintendo screws up a lot, and PlayStation is also gonna screw up a lot. And it's one of those things like, yeah, I'm not defending any of these choices. Shutting down the PlayStation Store with 4 months' notice, that was a bad move.
That came out of nowhere
this
too.
Potential battery issue, that's a bad move. Game Pass getting launched early, that's a bad move. But I still, the main thing for me is like I enjoy the discussion around games. Hence why I made a podcast. But I enjoy the discussion and the talking about the ecosystems and how players feel and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, games matter. And just last year, you had Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy, like all these different games. Like their game studio is still killing it, and that's the main thing that has me sticking with them. Is if their games started to slip and they started to not be good, I would be like, yeah, cool, Sony's lost its way, get out of here. But like, even Days Gone was not good, but it was not bad. Like I generally cannot think what was the last bad, awful PlayStation game.
Yes, same. Like as we said earlier, their worst was Days Gone, and that game was just fine.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I am. I do think they are. Going back to the thing with the studios, I'm not gonna turn a blind eye. I do think Sony's being kind of arrogant. I do think they're kind of up their own butt a bit, where they're like, "Hey, we're the #1 selling console. Of course, we're gonna charge for crossplay." And even then, God, see, I listen to Kind of Funny, so if you want to know where 90% of the news stories come from, folks, just listen to that show, and then I just copy. But they were talking on, but they were talking about how, and they raised a good point. They're like, Sony was like, yeah, so far a single dev hasn't explained to us how crossplay makes us money, and I'm like, that is cold and that is dickish, and that's 100% right. If someone can explain to me how crossplay, someone playing on Xbox makes Sony money, I will buy them a hat.
Because right, like that's crazy.
It's good for goodwill. It's good for hearts and mind. It doesn't earn Sony money, and it sucks and it's arrogant. But gaming is a business at the end of the day. Like circling back to Days Gone, I would love Days Gone to get a sequel. It did not make enough. It did not do a big enough a splash. It sucks. That's the reality of things. But yes.
Right, and it's unfortunate, but that's just kind of how the games industry is.
What is it? I'm just looking. What was it? Spider-Man was also last year. Avengers, which is kind of PlayStation adjacent. Dreams was 2020. Oh no, I'm looking at 20. Wait, what? Google, what are you doing to me? Astro's Playroom. Iron Man VR. MLB The Show. Sony had a great year last year. Okay, hold up. This can't be right. What the hell? Dreams was last year.
Yeah. No. Dreams was like February 2020.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. Like, cool. I get why people are mad. I get why people are upset. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I love Nintendo. Current Xbox is the most excited I've been about Xbox. I appreciate what Xbox does, but I'm Sony ride or die. I'm sorry. I love them.
Oh yeah, same.
Like, yeah, I'm not gonna look past their flaws. They do a lot of stupid stuff. They do a lot of dumb stuff, but if I had gun to my head, it's always gonna be PlayStation, because I think they just offer the specific games and like the specific. The reason I get into games is for the stories, the characters, the worlds, the environments, like.
Right, like once I see when I was a freshman in high school, I got the Xbox One. I had that all the way up until I graduated. and for like 4 years that was my main console. I was an Xbox fan. Then once I got my PS4, I once got my PS4, and then once I got my Switch, I was like, I'm barely touching my Xbox. Like I'm playing all kinds of games on my PS4 and Switch that I just wouldn't get over on my Xbox. And I love Game Pass. I love my Series S, but the games on Xbox, like their exclusives, just don't grab me like PlayStations and Nintendos do.
Yeah, and that's why I was telling my girlfriend, I'm like, because she was like, oh, what, just asking like all the different stuff, and I was saying like, if you are just someone who's like, I like video games, buy an Xbox. Done. Like I can't. It has Game Pass. Just buy an Xbox. If you're just someone like, hey, I want to play a game, you want to be kind of like the Netflix of gaming, like, cool, play this for a week, move on. Play this for a week, move on. Xbox is stupid good. You can't argue with that deal. But it, like you said, it doesn't have the variety. It doesn't have the legacy. It doesn't have a Mario or a Naughty Dog or a Sucker Punch, or like it doesn't have these like specific favorite things. And honestly, that's kind of where I am as a gamer, where people do give me like a little bit slack, because like in any given year I'll only buy maybe 5-6 games a year. Like I only buy a game every 2 or 3 months or so, but it's because those games I'm buying are like very catered, like specific games that like, hi, I want to buy this, not just like, oh, Outriders came out, I'll play that. Oh, this came out, I'll try that. Like I would love to do that, but like I just don't have the time or the budget to do so. So like for me, if I am sinking $70, $60, whatever the price is, I want to make sure it is a good quality game, not just like, hey, people are talking about this game, let me check it out.
Right. That's as Ed said, that's why I gravitate towards PlayStation more.
Yeah, but that will pretty much do it for this episode. So again, thank you so much, sir, for coming back, dealing with all our audio issues. I've been literally staring at the levels this entire episode. I'm just like, don't you go down, don't you go down. I'm 60% sure we are okay.
Dude, this is like the worst time.
Yeah. But yes, I appreciate.
At least on my end, you were kind of going in and out during that whole time.
Yes. Okay. But before we go on, because last time the way the scheduling works, we weren't able to talk about the free games for May. But this time we can. So we're gonna hop over to, to Xbox. Your free games for for May 2021 are Armello, Dungeon 3, Lego Batman 1,
Battlefield 5,
for games with gold. So yeah, it's Lego Batman, Tropico 4, Dungeon 3, and Armello. And kind of speaking to what you were saying earlier, it's crazy that the Xbox marketing team, the way they were hyping up this month was they were hyping up Lego Batman.
How long has that been out? I mean, like that's like a $5 bargain bin game.
I want Lego Batman, the first one. That's, what is it? That's like almost 10 years old or whatever. But it's like you said, that's where Game Pass is.
Like way back on 360.
Yes, exactly. That is the quote-unquote big title for this month. And then if we hop over to PlayStation, the free games you're getting for May 2021, PS5 players get Wreckfest, Drive Hard, Die Last, and then PS4 players get Battlefield 5 and Stranded Deep. Which, again, not a banger of a month. I'm not going to act like,
but it's still pretty solid.
Yeah, it's much like Days Gone. It's a solid, neat. I'll check it out. I'm gonna move on with my life. And that's what I believe I asked this to Mr. Sean Ian Jacobs, who was our guest the previous episode. At what point do you think Wreckfest is kind of the first kind of week, but like at what point do you think PlayStation stops offering brand new hype games for PS5, or do you think they just or do you think they're gonna still do that for like at least the first year or so? Because I think people have to remember is their pool of free games is much smaller to pull from. Like they have to make bigger deals because a lot of those games are going to launch on Plus.
I'm thinking. Look, just because they release on PS5 doesn't mean like they like. What am I trying to say
No,
here?
I know.
Like
Worms, like I believe Worms was the December game, but that was on like PC like 2 or 3 months before PlayStation.
There was a puzzle game called Maquette, and there was one, and even when Bug Snacks came out for PlayStation Plus, I'm like, I can get those on PS4 too, but like the ideal place to play them is on PS5. So I think that as long as new indie games or not even indie games, just newer games keep coming out for PS5 too, I don't think Sony needs to worry about running out of ideas. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That they can build up to it. But yeah, so that will do it. Before I do the wrap up, is there any last things you have to say, sir? Again, you've been an absolute pleasure. Why can I not speak? I did 2 hours and I was just fine. You've been an absolute pleasure and a treat of a guest.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. These like 2 hours flew by.
Yeah.
like since when you just talk about video games and movies and just things you like, the time just kind of leaves you.
It does.
But this was a great episode. I thought it was pretty interesting to go back to topics we had talked about before, and I think I was able to talk on these topics more in depth since I had a couple weeks to really think on them, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say when we went into the start, I was like, I feel bad. We did a banger of an episode. Honestly, sir, I think you topped yourself. So you 100% deserve praise for that.
Oh, thank you. That was a long one. Like at the end, I felt like I was starting to lose my voice. But
Yes.
but then again, I had been talking all day, so.
But that will do it for another episode of the Unofficial PlayStation Plus podcast. If you want to keep the conversation going or check out the daily happenings of the show, be sure to follow us at PS Plus Pod, all one word. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to write into the show and have your letters read on air, PlayStationPlusShow@gmail.com. Do you have any socials you'd like to pimp, sir? Even if it's not your own. If you want to give Joey Fatone a free follow. Whatever you want to promote right now, go for it.
Well, I do have a Twitter actually. It's SakeBenji99. So it's Sake Ben 99. That's on Twitter.
All of this will be in the description too. But yes.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that actually, but that's. I also have a kind of a small YouTube channel, just my name, Benjamin Weeks. I'm the one with the Altair profile picture. The
Hey guys, Future Vinny here. So unfortunately, the very ending got cut off, like the last 30 seconds. I don't know what it is. OBS is screwing up. My file conversion thing is screwing up. So yeah, no, luckily we got all the plugs, we got all that stuff. Again, the plugs for the show, the plug for our guests, even my own personal plugs at Viral Vinny, all the various places. If you want to see links to other projects I'm doing when I'm guest starring on other people's podcasts, links to my streams, video essays, whenever the heck I make those again, all that stuff can be found in the description of this video. But yeah, so thank you again for listening so much to another episode of the Unofficial PlayStation Plus podcast. And until next month, long live play, whenever, wherever, forever.